Greetings, everybody. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to a brand new series of Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord, which originally streamed live on Twitch. In this series, I'll be playing a Sturgian warrior. Additional information about this series can be found in the description of this video. Episode 1, Sturgian Warrior. So before I start, for those of you that are not familiar with Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord, I should read you a little synopsis of what this game is, and it's in the About command, or if you're watching on YouTube, in the description. But Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord is a strategy, action, role-playing game set in the early Middle Ages. The player builds up a party of soldiers and performs quests, with battles being played out on battlefields that allow the player to personally engage in combat alongside their troops. In this series, I'll be Sturgian, which is sort of like Norse Viking. Hoping to grow my combat prowess to fame and fortune. I'm playing on the latest stable branch, which is got a whole lot of numbers, 17131, whatever. And I have no mods, and I'll be on the Freebooter difficulty, which is the easiest, because again, I haven't played in 13 months, and I'd rather just have fun with it than a grueling Bannerlord level difficulty. So we're going to start a new campaign. There is now a cinematic cutscene that there wasn't since I last played, so I'm going to play through that now.
For 500 years, the Calradian Empire dominated the continent. Its armies scattered foes before them. The strongholds of proud tribes crumbled beneath its engines of war. From the forests of the north to the wastes of the south, all was brought beneath the standard of their legions. Brutal as the conquest was, the wise agreed that it brought peace. The land, now untroubled by armies, grew rich, but empires, like men, grow old. Leaders lose a common cause. Corruption spreads. Old enemies learn the Empire's tricks and devise new ones of their own. Until one day, the bonds holding the Empire snap. Then comes the Civil War, pitting all against all. A time of hatred. A time of suffering. But also, even in the worst hours, a time of courage and defiance. As new leaders arise from new places and new peoples, to turn back the tides of destruction and bring forth a new world from the ashes of the old.
So I've glanced over the changelog, but only like a skim, because it was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like game fixes mostly. But yeah, let's start off. We're going to be Sturgian. So Sturgians are the descendant of the foreign tribes of northern Calradia. As the Empire expanded into their cold forests, they found a ready market for the luxurious furs and woodland animals, whom they traditionally hunted and trapped. Sturgian chieftains became princes vying for preeminence, with the help of Nord mercenaries who migrated into their realm. They are good hunters and wanderers, traveling far in search of opportunities both for trade and for plunder. Recruiting and upgrading infantry troops are 25% cheaper. Armies lose 20% less daily cohesion. 20% more relationship penalty for kingdom decisions. So there are 6 main cultures. The Empire kind of splits into 3 separate So there's 3 different empires, but you have the Valandians, who are known as sort of the crossbowmen, horsemen, the Sturgians, who are the Nordic axe, Aserai. The Aserai and the Khuzaits are relatively similar. One is sort of like desert bowmen, and the other would be Asian steppes horsemen, sort of. Their Aserai is also more trade. They're more focused on trade. And then the Battanians, who are sort of the... Forest Rangers, but they're very similar to Valandians. But we're going to be Sturgians this time around. Alright, character creation. Let's put some clothes on first, because, you know, family friendly and all. I'm not going to do too much character creation here. I'm going to look... Let's randomize a few times. Yeah, this guy looks pretty good, but I'm going to fix his hair, because he doesn't need to look like blonde Carrot Top here. Let's have him be huge and buff, because, you know, we're supposed to be a giant Viking warrior, I think. And let's go with a good Viking beard. Here we go. Something kempt, but Viking-like. And what hair should you have? Okay, well, we don't need to shave the back of your head. That's just weird. There we go. Very oafish face, but that's going to have to work for us. So, when you start a new game, you get a whole lot of choices that will affect your starting stats. I'll get more into detail here, but there are a few different attributes that you can have. Vigor, control, endurance, cunning, social, and intelligence. I am not trying to min-max because I'm on the easiest difficulty and I just want to roleplay. But there are some skills that are absolutely necessary for becoming a general, and some skills that are totally useless. I don't really know how much they fixed the talent tree. The last I played the talent tree, there was a lot of actual skills and talents that you could unlock that did nothing. They were broken, and I don't know if they've been fixed or not. I didn't go through the changelog that hard. But we're going to try to design is a Nordic warrior skilled in bows and axes. And as far as axes go, maybe one-handed and two-handed, but definitely not polearms. So we were born into a family of hunters. So that's going to raise my vigor by 1, as you can see, and my bow skill by 1, and my cunning by 1. So scouting, bow, and strength. As a child, you were noted for... Let's go with... I'll go with leadership skills this time. We were a tactful and intelligent leader. Like all village children, you helped out in the fields. You also hunted small game. More tactics, more bow skill, and a little bit more control. As a youngster growing up in Calradia, war was never too far away. You joined the skirmishers. Yeah. So these choices will also sort of affect what kind of weapons and weapon skills you have. And yeah, I want to be a skirmisher. Oh god, I hope he grows out of that baby face. That is not great. There we go. Before you set out for a life of adventure, your biggest achievement was... you defeated an enemy in battle. So that, again, raises the vigor here. And one-handed and two-handed. Like many families in Calradia, your life was upended by war. Your home was ravaged by the passage of army after army. Eventually, you sold your property and set off with your father, mother, brother, and your 2 younger siblings to a new town you heard was safer. But you did not make it. Along the way, the inn at which you were staying was attacked by raiders. Your parents were slain, but your 2 siblings seized. But you and your brother survived because... because I subdued a raider. Alright. You prepare to set off with your brother on a mission of vengeance and rescue. here is your character. Continue if you are ready, or go back to make changes. So, you can see the full summary of the choices that you've made to your character. This sort of reminds me of character design in like Morrowind or something like that, a little bit. I rather like it. Rather than to be able to directly pick the skills that you want, you sort of pick the background that you have, which is far more interesting than me. And we're going to be Rathor. Why not? Like I said, I'm going to be playing on Freebooter, which is by far the easiest difficulty. But to cover it, the player receives only a quarter damage, and the troops under the player's command only receive half. Recruiting is a little bit more easy. You move around on the map, on the campaign map, faster. The AI difficulty is the same, or normal. They're not that smart. Persuasion successes have a bit of a bonus, and clan death in battles is reduced by 100%. Basically, we cannot lose our named friends and family. I'm going to be skipping most of the tutorial, but I want to show a little bit just so that you can kind of understand the weapon mechanics and the ranged mechanics. Brother, it's been 3 days now since we've been tracking those bastards. I think we're getting close. We need to think about what happens when we catch them. How are you going to rescue Fodor and Alishka? Are we up for a fight? I mean, look at me. I, am a full foot taller than you. This looks like an old training field for the legions. Perhaps we can spare some time and brush up on our skills. The practice could come in handy when we catch up with the raiders. So, I'm going to run the course. I need to know how I can fight if I have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some of the basic melee mechanics here, but not do all of them because they just simply take too long. So I will do one in each region. But you can stay here as long as you want. Time doesn't progress and you cannot die. So here is the... Let's do two-handed swords. So there's different ways to set up the way the game mechanics work, but more or less, there are 4 different directions: left, right, top, and down. So if I hit right mouse button while panning to the left, I defend from the left, like that. Or defend from the right, defend up, and defend down. It all depends on the last mouse movement that you took. So attack from the right, left, attack from up, and attack from down. That way, you're able to attack spots that they're not guarding and defend in the direction that they're attacking. Alright, that is all the training that we're going to do here. And I am going to do the advanced melee training with just a sword. If I could grab the sword. There we go. Alright, so first we defeat the rookie trainer. And you can see in the bottom left some of the damage stats. One thing to note is there is positional damage. Hitting the head is going to be a lot more effective than hitting the shield, for instance. And then there's also momentum. So if you're moving forward and you swing, you do more damage than if you're just standing there. Well, they were not that hard to beat. Alright, I will cover some of the ranged training. I think I'm going to be using a bow, so I'll do the bow training. And then I will do the mounted training, and I'm not really sure which one I'll pick. So let's do bow next. Now, the skill that you have in the weapon incredibly determines your ability to use the weapon. So the more your bow skill, the more accurate you are, where the reticle will get even closer in and in. So when you're really new and don't have a lot of skill, you miss wildly, and there's nothing you can do about that but to level up. The way to level up these things is the more difficult shots that you take, the longer they are, and the better positions that they are, the more experience that you gain. And there's also something called focus points, which allows you to level up faster as well. The speed at which you level, I'll show you once I'm done with this tutorial, but it's basically a factor of your character stats, like your vigor or control, mixed with how many focus points you have in it, and then how much level you've already invested in it to begin with. So in terms of mounted, let's go with sword, I think is probably what I'm going to be using most, and some mounted bow as well. So a lot of the game will have you do mounted combat, and there is a huge momentum bonus when you hit troops when you're on horseback. You just do a whole lot more damage because you're moving like 40 miles an hour. Oh, right through it. Cool. You're moving like 40 miles an hour. But it's a double-edged sword. So if I ride straight into... Oh man, I'm bad at this. If I ride straight into someone with like a spear, and they manage to get the spear into my chest or head, I'm going to be having a really bad time. Now, at Freebooter difficulty, it's probably not going to be a one-hit KO unless I'm really low on health to begin with. But on Bannerlord difficulty, you know, the hardest, that could be a death knell in just one hit. It's why if you are in an arena fight and you're jousting, it can be really dangerous because you can very easily get one-hit KO'd with lances, couched lances, jousting. And my hand somehow defies physics and passes straight through these clay pots. As you can see, I am about as rusty as can be, so this will be interesting. Now, the game will start you off with a sort of generic starter mission that you can't ignore. It definitely locks you into it. And once I complete that, the world is sandbox, and I'll be able to make some choices of my own, like going raiding or whatever. So, in order to get out of this training, all I have to do is hold left tab. Out we go. So I'm going to leave. Before we do anything else, we're low on food. There's a village north of here where we can buy provisions and find some help. You're a better rider than I am, so I'll let you lead the way. Alright, heading up to Tevea. So here's the world map. This isn't exactly going to be a tutorial, but each color is its own culture. So up in the north, which would be up here, is the Sturgians. You've got the Valandians, the Battanians, the three different empires in the middle. You've got the Azurai in the south, and oh my god, what is their name? The Khuzait in the east. So like the eastern steppes, the southern, and it's not supposed to exactly be Europe, but as you can see, it's kind of laid out like that, where you'd have, you know, North Africa and like Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, you know, so on and so forth. And over here, you've kind of have what would be like Northern Germanic and Western. It's supposed to be somewhat approximate, but not exact. All right, so down we go to Tevea. And then on this map, you have a certain view radius, and there's going to be units moving around. So right now, these are just refugees moving around the map. I could mug them, but that's not part of the tutorial. And then you have small little villages here. And then larger towns like Lycaron, and then you've got castles as well. The towns are economic hubs. The castles are defensive structures. Obviously, this is like a massive, you know, watering down. And the little villages support towns and castles that they're bound to. You can't own a village without owning a castle or a town. Like, they're bound to the larger structures. So we're going to take a walk around this village, Tevea, and talk to the elder. We're here, I guess, so we need food. And after that, maybe some men to come help us. The headman over there could probably help us. Let's go find him. So this is what a typical village looks like, or at least in the Empire, because I'm in the Empire. And I can hold left alt to see the location of the headman, who is straight ahead. And something is very fascinating about this wall, but hey, dude, There we go. I'm Headman Jacarors, headman of this village. What brings you here? We need help. Some raiders have taken our younger brother and sister captive. We think they may have passed this way. They got your people too? Sorry to hear that. Those bastards have done a bit of killing and looting in these parts as well. We think they've gone north. I reckon there are a few folk around here who will join you in going after them if you pay for their gear. Once you've made your preparations, come talk to me again, and I may have a task for you if you're going after the raiders. To leave a mission, you can hold down left tab. This will return you to the settlement menu where you can purchase supplies and hire recruits. So to recruit troops, we click on this, and this specific village has a full set of headman troops ready to be recruited, but this is not usual. You don't usually have a menu here full of like mounted horsemen. That is unusual, I'll put it that way. And we recruit them, and then also troops need to be fed. So I'm going to buy grain, 3 grain to keep them fed. We've finished our preparations. Let's talk to the headman again. He said he may have a task for us. We could use his friendship. So before I do that, I'm actually going to cover a little bit more of the UI. So down here on the left, you've got the pause menu, changing options and all that. You've got the character screen. And the way this character screen works is you can assign skills to anyone in your party. I'm not going to be assigning skills to my brother yet, but for my own personal skills, you have the 6 classes here: the vigor, control, endurance, cunning, social, and intelligence. And then the 3 skills that are under that banner. I have enough experience in one-handed to make a choice here. And I'm actually going to let you guys make the choices for me. So up here, there's something called free attribute points. These can be used to increase an attribute like vigor, control, endurance. And then there's something called free focus points. Free focus points allows you to invest in a specific skill to level up faster. So as you can see right now, my learning rate for one-handed is times 7.5. The base is 1.25. The level of vigor I have adds 2.5. And then my skill focus, which is 3, adds 3.75. I learn one-handed really quickly because I have invested a lot in the origins of my character, whereas polearm would be 3.75. Something that would be particularly low might be something like smithing, because I don't have a lot of endurance and I don't have any focus points, so it's only 2.25. Or trade, or medicine, or stewardship. Now, the meta of the game really depends on how you want to play, but generally speaking, to lead a large army, you would want a lot of stewardship and leadership. That gives you the ability to command a lot of troops and to keep them with high morale. But I'm not trying to play meta, I'm just trying to roleplay a Sturgian warrior, so that's why I didn't really pick meta skills. So in this, what skill should I unlock? So we have 2 choices here. We could pick Basher, which shield bashes now deal 50% more damage and stun enemies for longer. That is the personal benefit that you get for unlocking the skill. And then the party or troop benefit is infantry troops take 4% less melee damage while in shield wall formation. So all the troops under my personal command, when in shield wall, take less damage. So when you're picking these individual skills, you could pick specifically for what benefits your character the most, or what benefits your troops the most. So there's multiple different ways to play this. You can play this as a personal individual warrior trying to cut and slash your way through enemies. It's going to be really, really tough because on normal difficulty, it only takes a few bad arrows to the head to knock you unconscious. On the difficulty I'm at, I could probably, if I was well geared, take on a large army by myself, and that's just the way the game is set up. But we can pick between these 2 skills, depending on whatever you'd prefer. So let me put that up to pull. And then the other one is deflect. One-handed weapons I wield have their handling increased by 20%. Handling is like how fast you can swing and defend, sort of interaction speed or whatever. And then troops in the formation that I'm leading have one-handed combat effectiveness higher, as if they were 1 tier higher. So anyone that has a one-handed weapon under my command uses that one-handed weapon better. And I'll just give you 1 minute to choose. So as far as free focus points, you will get free focus points every time you level up, and you can spend it to invest in any skill that is not maxed. You do max out at 5, so once you have 5 free focus points invested, there's really no way to change it. But I'm going to have you choose what overall heading, rather than the individual skills, all like 18 of them or whatever. I'm going to have you pick what class I use the free focus point in: vigor, control, endurance, cunning, social, or intelligence. And then I'll just pick of the 3 that I want. So it looks like we're going to be going for deflect. And then the next question, how should I use the free focus point? Vigor, control, endurance, cunning, social, intelligence. And that will be left up to you. And while you vote on that, I'll give you 2.5 minutes to vote on that. And the timer's up top. I know it's kind of hard to read. We are going to go talk to Headman again. Glad to see you found what you needed. Now, about that matter I mentioned earlier. There's this wandering doctor who comes through here from time to time, named of Tacdeus. Treats people for free. We're fond of him. Well, we last saw him a few days ago. He was carrying some sort of chest, which he was very mysterious about. He was on some sort of quest, he said, though he wouldn't tell us more. He set off on the road just a few hours before the raiders came through here. Well, he's not really a worldly type, just the kind of fellow who'd stumble into a trap and let himself be captured. We're worried about him. If you could keep an eye out for him, this Tacdeus, we'd be very grateful. Maybe he's alive and well. He'll tell you a little more about his quest. Okay. So if I leave here and go to J, or the quest menu, we can see what quests we've already done. We've purchased grain, we've recruited troops, we talked to the headman. I like how his name is Headman. Okay. And then we travel to the village. My current active quest is locate and rescue Traveler. So look around the village to find a party that captured Traveler. So there's 3 raider parties, 1, 2, and 3, that I have to go attack, hunt down, and defeat. And it looks like, yeah, there's more time on the pole. So other important things of the UI here. There is a clan and kingdom screen, which I cannot find or cannot open because I am not in a clan and I'm not in a kingdom. But there is the party screen here, which is all the companions and troops in your army. Then there's the inventory, which is all of the inventory you have in your army. And you also have a inventory capacity. The inventory capacity is most raised up by beasts of burden like mules, but troops can also hold loot as well. The more mounted animals that you have in your army, the faster your army will move. So if you're trying to outrun enemies or run down enemies, it's really important to have a lot of horses and mules to make sure that your inventory capacity is well kept up and people are mounted. And then, of course, you have gold here too. And then down on the bottom right, we've got... I'm not part of a kingdom, so I can't do the rally flags or anything like that. But we have the current currency here. Then this is something called influence, which becomes a lot more important when we're in a clan or a kingdom. We have my personal hit points, which goes up depending on the medicine skill of the highest person who is conscious in your party. How many battle-ready troops we have, and it will also tell you how many wounded troops or prisoners, etc. How many days you have until you have no food. So I have 7 days of food on me, which is the 2 grain that will feed the 8 of us. Then party morale. Party morale goes up when you have victories or when you provide a variety of food or have some sort of other positive events happen, and then negative morale when you have defeats or starvation or defection, or even if you employ too many bandits into your army, things like that. All right, looks like I'm going for endurance here. Then, party speed. This one's really important because, like I said before, if you have an army that has a lot of mounted troops and a lot of horses, you'll move very fast. And this world map is really large. Getting from point A to point B takes a long time. So if you're trying to do trade routes, or you're trying to run away from enemy armies and cavalry troops, being fast is very, very important. Now, I am on Freebooter, so I have like a bonus to speed. As you can see, the game difficulty adds 0.49 to speed. But in order to like run away from a rather well-geared army, it's important to be really quick. And then this is view distance, and it depends upon the best scout in your army. So having someone, a companion in your army that has a really high scout value, will give you a big view distance over the map. And then the last one is daily party wage, how much money it costs to upkeep your troops. And then we have season down here, and what time of day it is, I guess. All right, so let's spend that free focus point on endurance. So in endurance, I am going to say riding. Done. So now I've spent that free focus point. It also raises, so another thing, oh, and for whatever reason, I didn't actually hit done picking deflect. So another thing to note is you can see this green bar. This is sort of the learning limit, how much experience that you can gain maximum, which depends on the level of the primary stat that controls that skill, and then also how many focus points are in it. So my polearm max, I can only really get one skill, whereas my one-handed I can get up to 5. So in investing in riding, I can start to work towards riding skills. And riding and athletics are very important. Athletics is your personal run speed and weight penalty reduced, which is, you can see up here. And then ride speed is how difficult a horse that you can mount, and more difficult horses tend to be faster. Increases horse speed, horse maneuvering, and then mounted weapon damage, and reduces penalties. One of the like metas in this game is to be a mounted bowman, because it's very hard to catch you and you can run everyone down. So investing in like riding and bow skills will make it really easy for you to defeat enemies without having to risk your neck so badly. All right, let's jump some raiders now. Now there's also time controls down here. Spacebar is pause, 2 and 3 are play and fast forward if you want to speed through it. Up here, when you have an option to attack, it will show you the balance of power. It will show you how many people there are, and then what kind of troops there are. And this little exclamation mark means that they're part of a quest. Sometimes, when you're not part of a quest or part of this tutorial, you can just send in your troops to fight without you. If you're really bad armchair general, you might actually yield better results auto-resolving. I personally love to fight. This game is a lot of fun fighting, so I'm always going to attack personally. Unless I'm super wounded. So battle commands. You can tell your men to change the opening movement orders with F1, and then choose charge with F3. I'm not actually going to tell them to charge. So you hit F1, you can see the different commands here. Everyone! Is... If I hit F1, you'll see that all of my current troops are within the same command control, or whatever you want to call it, where they're all under the same banner. And I can tell them to hold their position, follow me, charge, advance, fall back, stop, retreat, or return to whatever they were previously doing. I can also change... I can change their stances. And right now I'm going to tell them to charge, because the enemy's right here. And I'm going to try to use my throwing weapons horribly. Ow, don't hit me. I'm really bad at throwing weapons, mind you. Throwing weapons so that I don't risk myself too badly. But you can also ride past them like this and swipe at their heads as they're below you. Longer weapons... Yeah, I'm just getting beat up. Longer weapons are going to give you better reach, which allows you to hit them before they can hit you. And really short weapons when you're on horseback are going to be near impossible to use. Whoops. Oh, no, I killed him. No, you don't. Now, ranged weapons like this have a finite amount of, like, ammo or whatever you want to call it. Ow. Cut it out. I think that's it. Alright, so once the battle is over, you can see all the javelins that I missed with. They're in green, and then all the weapons of the enemies. And you can see the battle results. So, I leveled up a little bit. 1 in one-handed, 1 in horse, and 3 in throwing. None of us got killed, none of us got wounded, none of us got routed, and then 3 of them got killed, and 3 of them got wounded. I gained 0.9 morale for the victory. I can recruit 2 Imperial recruits, which is weird because like they weren't actually prisoner, but this is different because it's a tutorial. And then I can capture their Radagos's prisoners. There were 3 raiders that we grabbed. Then there's also items. So you can just hit this or A to loot all. But here, I'm going to equip the Tattered Rough-Tide Bracers, because I don't have bracers. So now that we're in this menu, it's also important to note armor and attack and all that item combat stats. So I have no helmet. This scarf provides very little body armor to me. 0 armor tier. The tunic that I have provides very little body armor. These Tide Bracers cover my hands by an armor value of 6, so on and so forth. Really high tier armor will protect you a lot from enemy incoming arrows and slashing and all that jazz, but they're extraordinarily expensive at high tiers. You can also have multiple weapons, so you can have up to 4 weapon slots, like a bow and arrows and a shield and a sword, or a one-handed sword, a two-handed sword, and 2 throwing items, or mix it up however you want. Down here you can see the total skills and the total encumbrance. Really high encumbrance means that you'll move very slowly on foot. So if you're wearing a lot of armor but you don't have a lot of athletic skill, you're going to be very sluggish. And one of the things when you're in like a hand-on-hand foot combat is you sort of like joust and fence one another. So if you're really slow, it's really hard to like move in to get a hit on an enemy and then back up so you dodge the next one. So it's really important not to be so over encumbered that you're easy to kill. There's also different types of inventory that you can see. So you can sort just show me only melee weapons or only shields and ranged or only armor, so on and so forth. And then over here is the civilian outfit. When you're walking around a town, how do you look? So you can actually change the way you look when you're not in battle. It's something that is... It really almost doesn't matter. It matters a little bit because sometimes when you go into towns, like gang leaders will jump you and you'll be in your civilian clothing. So it does help to equip your civilian equipment out okay, but you really only need to truly focus on your battle armor and just give yourself in the civilian clothes like a good weapon. Because a lot of the armor is not going to be allowed to be used when you're a civilian anyway. Some of the best armor will be locked to you. So now we have 10 people, because I recruited the 2 infantry, and then we have 3 prisoners as well, all of them infantry. And we're going to go hit up another group of raiders. And I missed a puppy treat. I apologize. Hey, dude. There you go, dude.
Whoa! Follow me! Infection
So up here,
everyone!
Up here, when I hit 1, 2, or 1 and 3, I can command specifically just the 2 infantry,
Cavalry!
or specifically the cavalry. And you're able to designate what troops belong to what group when you're in your army screen.
Everyone!
Or I could just issue orders for everyone.
Attack!
And I'm going to tell everyone just to charge. Would you forget about me? Come on now. Whoops. That was kind of my own dude. Luckily, he's a filthy Imperial, and I don't really care about him. So one of the things that you can notice is that the cavalry that I have are sort of jousting. Uh-oh. Give me your bow. Oh, no. He knocked me down. So even though I'm knocked down here, I guess this is an important thing to note. The battle isn't over. My troops, they're sort of, the AI takes over and they do what they think is best. A lot of the times when you get knocked out, especially when you're attacking like castles or towns, the troops become very stupid. So you want to keep yourself alive as long as you can, because when you don't control them individually, they become ridiculously bad at combat. And sometimes will just like circle around endlessly and pointlessly until they die. So in those types of situations, it's really important to stay upright. So here, as you can see, I'm not dead. I just got knocked unconscious. In fact, no one died in my crew. So we have 2 of the original Imperial recruits wounded, and one of whom has leveled up. We took 2 more prisoners, and then you can see that I'm going to tell one of these Imperial recruits to become an Imperial archer. These little indicators here indicates the tier of the unit. So these headman troops that I recruited are tier 4, which is actually pretty strong. The Imperial recruits are, of course, tier 1, and then the archer, because he just leveled up, is tier 2. When you level up units, you also have to pay them more daily. So having like 10 people of tier 6 is going to be a lot more expensive than 10 people of tier 1. Like one tier 6 unit is worth like 40 tier 1 units or something like that. It really depends on the unit specifically, because they all have different costs, but that's generally speaking, they're worth like 10, 15, 20, up to 40 times more. Now that I'm really wounded, after that fight, because we're in the tutorial, I miraculously just recovered at 50%. So in this next fight, I'm going to try not to get hit, and let's go find the last group of raiders. So, finish the starting tutorial is my current goal. Oh, here he is. They're running straight at me.
Go!
Down here, or down over there, you saw that my medicine skill went up.
Soldier charge!
That's because I'm wounded and I've been healing myself. We'll see if I can make like a ridiculously far throw. Ooh, nice. I leveled up from that. The more difficult the throw, the more experience you get for it. So one of the ways to level up ranged really effectively is just to fight against a giant army where basically you can't miss because there's so many enemies, and to fire from really far away. Another thing to note is the longer you hold a ranged attack down, the more inaccurate it becomes over time. So if I hold left mouse button to aim, you'll see the reticle slowly grow, and that's because you're getting tired basically holding your arm back. And the way to reset that is to right-click to cancel the throw, and then to throw again. And as you can see, it's accurate again. Alright, there we go. So in here, you can see I leveled up throwing by 2 and riding by 9. Wow, okay. The riding went up so high because I landed a really far throw while on horseback, so that was riding experience. Okay, they're going to scream that we won. Got it. 3 of these Imperial recruits leveled up, so I'm going to hold left control and upgrade all 3 at once. So now I have 6 cavalry, 2 footmen that are both wounded, and 4 archers. Now, I did just loot some better armor than I currently have. This is tier 2 armor. My current tunic is worth about 70 gold, and it provides 6 body armor, 3 leg armor, and 1 arm armor. This gambeson that I just grabbed has a lot more body armor and a lot more some more leg armor, but less arm armor. And there it is. Actually, let me take off the... Yeah, I'm going to take off the scarf. I don't even want it. There's also old fur armors and the like. Up here in the arrows, you can actually switch what character you have equipped. So if I wanted, I could actually take my brother's armor, which happens to be better than mine. You know, brotherly rivalries and all, and grab it from him. And then equip him the gambeson that I just grabbed. What else does he have? It's leg armor 7. Leg armor 7. So we have the same quality boots. He could use bracers. Although those bracers don't provide anything, so I'd rather just sell them. And then he actually has a round shield and a spike club, and I'm going to let him keep that. His horse has a max speed of 44 and a riding requirement of 10. And I think he has a better horse than I do, so I'm gonna steal his horse too. I'm just so generous like that. There we go. So now I have a nicer horse. And, alright, that about sums that up. Sorry, bro. Just looted you. You rescue several prisoners that the raiders have been dragging along. They look parched and exhausted. You give them a bit of water and bread, and after a short while, one of them staggers to his feet and comes over to you. Tacteos. Oh, we know him. I don't know who you are, but I'm in your debt. These brigands would have marched us to our deaths. My name's Tacteos. I'm a doctor by trade. I was on, well, a bit of a quest, but now I'm thinking I'm not really made out for this kind of thing. I was in a caravan, and they just came out of the brush. We were surrounded and outnumbered, so we gave up. I figured they'd keep us alive, but just for the ransom. If just for the ransom. But then they started flogging us, oh man, along at top speed without any water, and I was just about ready to drop. He looks kind of healthy to me. I don't really know if I believe him. I could feel the signs of heat stroke creeping up, and I told them, but they just flogged me more. If your group hadn't come along, maybe I have a way to thank you properly. Okay, so we're looking for 2 children captured by the raiders. Can you tell us anything? I'm afraid I haven't seen any children. But after our caravan was attacked, the chief of the raiders, the one they call Rhadamant, took and rode off with our more valuable belongings, including a chest that I had. He seemed to be controlling more than one band of one band raiding around the area. If this lot has your kin, then I think he'd be the one to know. This man is a baby with a beard. He does have a very smooth face. Very, very smooth face. And hey, I'm Radthor or whatever. I'm not Radagos. Don't you mix us up. And since I have nothing left of value to repay your help, I'll tell you this. If you catch up with and defeat that ruffian, you may be able to recover my chest. It contains a valuable ornament, which I was told could be of great value if you knew where to sell it. I was trying to find out more about it, but as I say, I've had all my urge of traveling flogged out of me. Right now, I don't think I'd venture more than 20 paces from a well as long as I live. It doesn't look like much, but I suspect this lot will give it away for a few coin. But I got it from a mercenary whom I treated once, and swore it was related to Neretzi's Folly. So Neretzi's Folly is a historical battle in the game that gets covered more in detail as the story goes on. I don't know what it means, except that Neretzi's was, of course, the emperor who died in battle some years back. Maybe you can find out more out of its true value. So the current quest is to find the hideout of Radagos' gang and defeat them. And it is right over there. The other issue is that I'm like a little wounded and I don't want to jump in the battle just yet. I want to heal up. So I'm going to go over to Tvea and see if, I'm going to buy some of the grain. And then we're going to go ahead and sell the scarves and stuff that I don't really need. The villages here will show you what is produced. So generally speaking, when they have a lot of a certain item, you get it at discount. So for instance, if they had heaps and heaps and heaps of butter, which they don't, but if they did have a lot of butter, you would be buying it cheaper than if they only had like 1 or 2. So supply and demand and all. And then also there's a finite amount of coin. Towns typically have a lot more coin than villages. So if you're trying to buy a lot of stuff, you're going to need to go to a town. Now, I'm in the tutorial right now, so I really can't go to a town because it's not going to let me. If I tried to ride away right now, my brother would take over and be like, oh, you're going the wrong way, and force me back to the right path. So down here is my health, and I can just fast forward the passage of time in order to recover some more at the cost of feeding and paying my troops, which can be expensive if you have large armies, but I don't really have a large army. I also don't need to be 100% health anyway. But I'll show you what I mean by not being allowed off leash. I'll try to go to Poros over here, which is a town, and I'll probably be prevented from doing so. Oh no, Interactions are limited during the tutorial phase. Oh, you don't say. You've strayed too far from our path. I'll take the lead for some time. You follow me. You don't say. All right, I think we're on the right path now. You're a better rider. You should take the lead. So, yeah, I'm on a bit of a leash. I'm not really allowed to do anything, but I'm just riding around pointlessly to heal up a bit. Down here on the left, you'll see the world events. So, who gets married, who dies, what sieges are going on. It's sort of like the grapevine, and you get updates every time you go near a town. As if, like, some sort of news crier is shouting out or something like that. Alright, I'm going to save. And then let's take a look. I do have a free focus point. So, how do you think I should use this free focus point? I'll give you 1 minute to vote. Before I start this next fight. I'm just trying to be full health for the fight, because I am as rusty as can be. I might want to get a little bit more grain, too. Thank you for tuning in to Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord, which originally streamed live on Twitch, May 19th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel. I'll catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Sturgian.